Listening Library presents The Curse of Maleficent, the tale of a sleeping beauty, adapted by Elizabeth Rudnick, read for you by Lucy Rayner.
For all the good and all the bad creatures in the world. For as the saying goes, the difference between a hero and a villain often depends on perspective. Once upon a time. Chapter 1. Robin put a small finger to his lips, looking back at his young partner in crime. The small, sprightly fairy grinned when he saw the determined expression on Maleficent's face.
Aye, he thought gleefully. She's going to be possumly perfect at this.
They flew low through the beautiful, lush moors until they reached their target, the bog where Knotgrass, Flittle, and Thistlewit lived. These three silly pixies were always together. Vain, high-strung creatures that found anything to complain or bicker about. They were the perfect companions for one another. They didn't know how to relax or how to have fun, things Robin did particularly well, which meant they were the perfect candidates for a little practical joking. Landing in the tall reeds, Robin and Maleficent crouched down. They watched Knotgrass and Flittle bicker crossly, while Thistlewit tried to rub the mud out of her dress.
I spent all afternoon finding this perfect palm fan,
Knotgrass declared, waving a huge shiny leaf in front of her face.
You absolutely cannot and will not share it with me. Now shoo! You're giving me a headache. Oh, come on,
Flittle whined.
That's the last good one. Besides, it completely clashes with your outfit. Everyone knows that green goes best with blue.
She gestured at her blue smock.
Oh, that would make the perfect hat,
Thistlewit added, abandoning her pointless cleaning.
What if it rains and I don't have any shelter to keep my hair dry? Don't even say such things,
Knotgrass chided.
A rainstorm? The horror!
Robin and Maleficent shared a look, a plan forming between them. Robin nodded to Maleficent, who took to the air. Still a child, Maleficent had difficulty managing her large raven wings, the heavy horns on her head throwing off her balance. She climbed into the air a little haphazardly, then straightened out, soaring through the clouds. Seeing the young fairy fly reminded Robin of Maleficent's mother, Hermia. Hermia had been beautiful, with long, dark locks, a tall, human-sized frame, and magnificent black wings. Maleficent would no doubt be the striking image of her mother when she grew up. Except for her eyes, of course. Maleficent had inherited her eyes from her father, Lysander. They sparkled like glowing jade pools. Robin's normally cheerful face contorted itself into a rare frown. Hermia and Lysander. It made him sad to think about Maleficent's parents. They had been such special fairies, and his friends for such a long time. It had been their life's work to create peace between the human world and the fairy moors, even though humans had a long history of attacking the moors, of trying to take over the land and steal its natural riches. No, Maleficent's parents had believed that peace was achievable, that there were some good humans out there who appreciated nature as much as they did. They even befriended some farmers and shepherds nearby in the effort to forge harmony between the two groups, something that was unheard of in the moors. They were determined to change the course of history, to create a peaceful environment in which their daughter would grow. But sadly, it was this optimism that led Hermia and Lysander to the front lines of the next human attack, thinking they could reason with the humans to end the battle before any blood was spilled on either side. Unfortunately, the humans did not share their views on the matter. It had been another violent war, and while the fair folk once again defended their home from the greedy humans, it had come at the price of Hermia's and Lysander's lives. Ever since that sad night, Robin and the rest of the fair folk had banded together to raise Maleficent. She had been such an easy baby, so happy and carefree, so content to play with the butterflies in the grove, to be bathed in a babbling brook, or to be resting in the cradle of the rowan tree, her home. She was also quite willful and lively. As soon as she could walk and talk, Maleficent asserted an independence beyond her years. It became apparent the daughter of Hermia and Lysander could look after herself, though she did enjoy spending time with the other fairies, making them her friends and companions instead of her caretakers. "Robin!" Maleficent called, suddenly hovering above the small fairy. "What's taking you so long?" Shaken out of his reverie, Robin looked up at the commanding young fairy above him, so full of life, and he thought how proud her parents would be of her. Then the sound of the 3 pixies arguing about who deserved to be dry during a storm interrupted the moment.
"Hold your horse feathers, lass,"
he loudly whispered back. He'd been so caught up in reflecting on the past that he'd nearly forgotten they were in the middle of a game. He jumped too, rubbing his hands together with excitement. Maleficent took to the sky once more, faltering a bit in her effort to gain some height. Hidden behind the tall trees, she spread her wings wide, covering the late afternoon sunlight that had been peeking through the trees. She flapped her wings as hard as she could, the sound mimicking a rolling thunder. The pixies hushed one another. They looked up at the darkened sky in a slow, dramatic fashion, their foreheads crinkling with worry. Hearing his cue, Robin dipped his wooden flask into the pool, and then covered himself with the fluffy grey marsh grasses that surrounded the pond next to him. He glanced at his reflection in the water, turning left and right.
"Well, well,"
he thought approvingly.
"I look pretty good as a cloud, if I do say so myself."
Then Robin jumped into the air, making a beeline for the 3 pixies. As soon as he was directly above them, he started shaking his flask, water dripping down directly on their upturned heads.
"Ah!"
Thistlewit yelled.
"It's happening! The rainstorm!" "Give it to me, Knotgrass,"
Flittle demanded, reaching for the palm. The 3 pixies struggled, their scuffle moving them away from Robin's rain cloud. After a few seconds, they realized they were no longer getting hit with water.
"Hey! It's dry over here!"
Thistlewit observed after a while.
"Don't be daft,"
Knotgrass replied. Then she put out her hand and looked up.
"But wait, it is dry over here."
Robin held in a laugh, manoeuvring his cloud in the air until he was directly over them, spilling droplets onto them once more. They shrieked, abandoning the leaf and fleeing from the rain cloud that seemed to be following them.
"My dress!"
Flittle yelled.
"My hair!"
Thistlewit cried.
"My headache!"
Knotgrass screamed. When Robin ran out of water, he flew to Maleficent's side.
"My, what temperamental weather we're having,"
Robin said. Maleficent snorted, and soon they were doubled over in the air with laughter. They started to fly away, finding it difficult to fly straight with the fits of giggles that overcame them. Soon they arrived at Maleficent's home in the moors, the sprawling rowan tree. The sun sank low in the distance, marking the end of another wonderful day. Maleficent leaned against the sturdy trunk of her tree. Robin flew to his own home, a nearby birch tree overlooking the beautiful fairy mound.
"Hello, Sweet Pea. Good evening, Finch. Beautiful flower work today, Adela."
Maleficent and Robin greeted their fairy neighbours, who smiled and waved from their...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?